So Greater Manchester Police have confirmed now, like you say, that one of those people who were killed is believed to have been mistakenly shot by officers during their armed response. I think a Home Office pathologist said that the injuries were consistent with police firearms. And another man in hospital has also been found to have a gunshot wound.
The Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police has said that one of the victims of yesterday's synagogue attack died after being injured by a gunshot believed to have been fired by the police. A second worshipper also sustained a gunshot injury, which is not life-threatening. It is thought that both victims had been behind the door of the synagogue through which the attacker, Jihad al-Shami, was trying to enter when he was shot by the police. 3 people have also been arrested on suspicion of planning a terror attack in connection with yesterday's killings. Earlier, I spoke to the former UK Independent Reviewer of Terrorism legislation, Lord Carlisle.
The responsibility of the perpetrator, not of the police. The police acted extremely promptly, and they were very efficient, aided by security guards at the synagogue. And in my view, it is, of course, tragic that somebody died in those circumstances. It's also very good that the Chief Constable of Manchester, of Greater Manchester, has said so at an early stage.
I'm joined now again by James Connolly, the senior reporter at SWNS, who is on the scene. Welcome back, James.
Thank you.
Obviously, this is dramatic news, the announcement by the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police that tragically one of the people who died at the synagogue was hit by a police gunshot. Can you talk us through it?
Yes, so Greater Manchester Police have confirmed now, like you say, that one of those people who were killed is believed to have been mistakenly shot by officers during their armed response. I think a Home Office pathologist said that the injuries were consistent with police firearms. And another man in hospital has also been found to have a gunshot wound. The Chief Constable said this was tragic and unforeseen consequence of action that they took to stop the attacker.
Absolutely. And I think, one shouldn't speculate too much, but obviously a bullet from the police appears to have gone through the door. What other developments have there been this morning? We know that Keir Starmer has visited the synagogue this morning. But the scene is calm this morning.
That's right. There is this mix of grief and fear still in the area, but it's definitely a lot calmer than it was yesterday. We've seen a lot of local people sort of quietly pausing at the cordon, some leaving flowers, some leaving notes behind, and neighbours have told me that they're sort of shocked about what happened, and they're also quite worried about what might come next. But there is some real solidarity on show here as well.
Excellent. Well, James Connolly, thank you for reporting on the scene for us. That's James Connolly, the senior reporter at SWNS. I'm also joined now by Rabbi Charlie Baginski, the co-lead of the movement for progressive Judaism. Welcome to the show, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Obviously, we've heard from leaders of the Jewish community that this is an incident that many people feared would happen. It was a question of when, not if. What is your reaction to the terrible events of yesterday?
I mean, where to start? I think many of us are really struggling to react. I think you're right. There are many within our communities who felt that this was coming for a long time, and yet it doesn't begin to mean that we're any less shocked or horrified by what happened.
Absolutely. And how is the community going to recover from this? What is happening today, for example, in terms of people gathering to process this terrible news?
So first of all, the Jewish community is really small. We're only a couple of 100,000 people, and so everything feels interconnected. So I think one thing is that people are connecting with each other. They're reaching out to people that they knew in Manchester. They're reaching out to people from their family and friends, and just reassuring each other that we're still together. I think many people will be going to synagogue this weekend. Maybe people who wouldn't normally find themselves going to a synagogue will feel the need to step into buildings to reassure themselves that it's still safe to go to places of worship, and will be being with their families and friends as much as possible this weekend.
Obviously, the issue of the pro-Palestinian protest has come up in this context, and particularly in the rise of anti-Semitism in the UK. There have been many listeners pointing out that many members of the Jewish community also go on those marches, and obviously the actions of the Israeli government are completely separate from being a member of the Jewish community, and people in the Jewish community have different views. What is your view on the pro-Palestinian movements and whether they?
Well, I think many is probably a stretch. I think there are Jews who find lots of different ways of being able to protest against actions that they see coming from the Israeli government. And that is a separate issue from the Jewish community being held responsible for the actions of the Israeli government. And I think that's part of the problem that we're trying to address here, which is that often the Jewish community here has felt under threat by the sense of being held responsible for those actions. And it is possible to be able to criticize Israel without it becoming into anti-Semitism. And I think what we've seen from many of the marches is a difference between impact and intention. I think there are many of us who recognise that there are many people on those marches who want to make their voices held about the distress that they feel for what is happening in Gaza and have no intention of being anti-Semitic. That doesn't mean that on those marches there have not been clear examples of anti-Semitism which need to be tackled and need to be called out very quickly, swiftly and deliberately. And at the same time, there is the impact of what happens when those marches happen outside synagogues, that they're happening on a Saturday as people are making their way to synagogue, that makes them also feel that the impact of the marches makes people feel fearful. And that while many people on those marches may not be their intention, it is the impact that it has on our communities. And there's a balance to be struck between making our voices held and the right to protest and the right for a freedom of speech. But there is a point when that impacts on communities in the way that they have the freedom to practice their religion and to feel safe in that.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That's Rabbi Charlie Baginski, the co-lead of the movement for Progressive Judaism, coming on the show to comment on the horrific events that happened in Manchester yesterday.
Well, look, the freedom to protest is a precious freedom in this country. But what I would say to people that are planning to go on a protest is just to take a step back for a minute. Imagine if you had lost a loved one to a terror attack in this country. And just because you have a freedom doesn't mean to say you have to use it all the time. Sometimes a little unity, a little solidarity, some love and friendship to other people is required. I was very disappointed that those protests went ahead last night. 40 arrests were made, including for assaulting police officers. We will not tolerate that behaviour. Those individuals will face the full force of the law. And I do think that carrying on in this way does feel un-British. Feels wrong, and I would ask people who are thinking about going on protest this weekend, take a step back, imagine it was you, and then just give this community a chance to grieve and to process what has happened.